The Islanders, and more specifically Lou Lamoriello, had a very busy day one of free agency. Let's go over the contracts and also one of the biggest rumors surrounding the Islanders right now. So day one of free agency, the Islanders signed back all of their restricted free agents, including Semyon Varlamov, Ilya Sorokin, Pierre Engvall, and Scott Mayfield. I thought I'd go through the players in order of AAV. So to start off, the first contract is Semyon Varlamov, backup goaltender. As you can see with my nice visuals that I'm adding here from Andy and Rono at AR Hockey Stats on Twitter. He got 4 years worth more than $10 million with a $2.75 million AAV. It'll probably be his last deal, and he'll be a backup to Sorokin. Was the AAV fair here? I think so, but I think for a backup goaltender, I'm not sure the Islanders necessarily needed to make this move. I understand he had a really good relationship with Ilya Sorokin, but I feel like he really got paid here for someone who's probably only expected to play at most 20 to 25 games a year. I just feel like it's a little rich for a backup goalie. I understand why they did it, but I think the Islanders really needed the cap space to potentially make another move. So I'm not thrilled on this. I'd probably give it a grade of like a C+. I think the biggest reason it doesn't get a really bad grade for me is because he's still a good goalie and he's very good friends with Sorokin. So although I'm not in love with it, I can see why it makes sense. And I do assume he'll be good until he's 37 or 38. So he'll be good for the next, most of the contract at least. Next we have Pierre Engvall, who personally is one of my favorite players on the Islanders. But he did get a 7-year deal from Lou worth $3 million AAV. He's a pretty good middle of the lineup player and does a lot of things well. 7 years is long. My argument, what people are using out of context here, is he was a third-line player on the Leafs and more so a second-line player on the Islanders, and honestly did pretty well in that role, and I'd argue the second line was our best line last year, especially when they added Engvall, carried them to the playoffs. He doesn't have that much mileage on him. He's only going to be 27 years old when this contract starts, so although 7 years is a lot for a middle six player, he's got a ton of wheels. He's got a ton of skill. He's pretty much good in all facets of the game. I don't know why people are calling this a troublesome contract. He's only going to be 32 or 33 when it ends, too. So, I mean, even if the speed dips off towards the end, I think he'll be fine. This contract for me gets an A-. I think this is the exact type of player you lock up, and the AAV is really low, and it's going to look even better in a year or two. Next, we have Scott Mayfield, which is, in my opinion, probably the worst contract of the bunch. But I have to specify here, Scott Mayfield is still a very serviceable defenseman. And the only thing it looks like he struggles with massively is transition, which is unfortunate and why I thought it was such an odd move that the Islanders gave him 7 years and a $3.5 mil AAV, which I thought was pretty high for getting 7 years. He's definitely a good defenseman. He played a top four role with the Islanders. My issue is he takes a lot of penalties, and he's not really a great passer, and that's really what the Islanders I felt were missing. So giving Mayfield that large of a contract, I thought was just kind of odd. I don't know. It feels out of place with the rest of them. And 7 years for a guy who's already going to be 30, it's definitely too long. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they looked at the market and didn't see anything else worth their while, and the devil you know is sometimes better than the devil you don't. So maybe that was the way, the kind of logic they put with re-signing him back. But I'm definitely not a big fan of this one. I'd probably give it a C-. Just because even if it's good for a year or two, his foot speed was already bothering me. And if he tanks early on in this contract, it's just going to be dead cap. Last but not least, Ilya Sorokin got an 8-year deal worth $8.25 mil. And they put here, he's one of the best goalies in the NHL. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not big on goaltenders in the NHL. I think they're fickle. I think 1 year they're great and the next they're bad. I look at contracts like Bobrovsky and Price, and even a little bit of Vasilevsky last year kind of showed its age. I'm worried, Ilya's going to be 28 years old when this contract starts, and it's not going to end until he's 36 or 37. I think 36, but it's tough for me. I don't know, he is one of the best goalies in the league. That's something you can't dispute. And I'd probably give the contract somewhere like a B plus. But I also think this contract carries the most risk out of all of them. I was kind of hoping they'd be able to get Ilya around a 7.5 AAV, but this isn't terrible either. I mean, 8.25 is okay. That being said, he has to live up to that number now. Very few goalies get paid like that. You're going to see like a Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, Saros maybe. It's Hellebuck. There's a very select few. And goalies can just sometimes they're not as good as what they were before, and it worries me. Definitely, the stats and analytics tell you that goaltenders don't always age the best. That being said, I don't consider this a bad contract. I think Lou did a pretty good job of getting everyone signed. I wouldn't say this was a terrible day for him. I do think some of the term is troublesome. But the AAV and the cap hit is down, and some of these contracts might look really good in a few years. But we'll see, obviously. This is the trouble with signing free agents. These were not RFAs or young kids. You kind of know what these guys are for the most part, and that's what puts a lot of risk on this. And around the league, a lot of people have not been giving the Islanders credit for these deals, but I don't think they did such a bad job. If I had to give like an overall grade, I'd probably give it a B. I don't think it's the worst it could have been looking at some of these other contracts on the market, but I also know the Islanders decided not to go in a different direction in a few areas, and I probably just would have stuck with Engvall and Sorokin personally, but I guess we'll see what happens. Last but not least, I wanted to go over the Alex DeBrincat rumors to the Islanders. You have Stefan Rosner and Andrew Gross both tweeting that there is some sort of smoke going on with Alex DeBrincat and the Islanders. How would the Islanders afford this? I'm not completely sure. You'd have to at least have Pajot going the other way, and then things do get messy after that because you'd probably still need to move a few pieces out. But as you can see here, Alex DeBrincat last year is being sold kind of low because he only had 66 points in 82 games and only 27 goals. He is without a doubt a top-line goal scorer. He is 12th in goals in the last 3 years overall at all strengths. Very good shooter. Very good player. I hope the Islanders can get him. There are a lot of rumors circulating that they will, but we'll see. So thank you guys for watching another episode of the Isles Ship. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I know we've been having a lot of issues with Twitter, so this might be the only way you can actually communicate with us. Stay tuned as I have John, Brendan, and Eric on for more Islanders takes. Talk to you guys soon.